everybody. This one is talking about common law ID cards. And you got to use them because otherwise you give evidence against yourself that you're one of the slaves. Anyways, copies of these documents can be found in my private group at Yahoo called Administrating-Your-Public-Servants. For a complete set of YouTube videos with private information shares, a DVD with over 50 searchable law dictionaries, and other books and forms, contact me privately at engineerwin@yahoo.com. And this last paragraph is for all the Satanist order follower revenue officers operating in their private capacity under the Federal Tax Lien Act of 1966. Donations to support this work are appreciated, but I prefer gold or silver coin. But as an extremely less desirable alternative, I can accept the IOUs, the Federal Reserve notes, the PayPal gifts, the checks, the money orders, etc. Send me an email for particulars. Anyways, in Texas and other states, they have passed these fictitious color of law codes for all their Satanist order followers. This is Section 3802 of the Texas Penal Code, failure to identify. A person commits an offense if he intentionally refuses to give his name, residence, address, or date of birth to a peace officer who has lawfully arrested the person and requested the information. And so the question is what's a lawful arrest? Okay, so just because have they read your rights? Have they, you know what I mean? And so whenever they want my information, I always tell them, well, the name is hearsay. You know, the date of birth is hearsay. But I do have this common law ID card. Of course, it doesn't have a date of birth. That's hearsay. I have no firsthand knowledge of that. I don't remember. Do you remember the day you were given birth? That's all hearsay on the birth certificate. Once they can pull up the birth certificate, the name. There's certain things they can pull up, a date of birth, and some other things, and they can pull up the Cesta K Trust and then assault you with it. And so you have to be careful. And again, you can't refuse it. That's hearsay. You know, I have no firsthand knowledge of that. I'm not refusing it. That's hearsay. I don't have to give evidence against myself. Anyways, and the question is whether it's a lawful arrest. Okay, so and then in the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure, this is these Satanists again at work. No evidence obtained by an officer or other person in violation of any provisions of the constitutional laws of the state of Texas or constitutional laws of the United States shall be admitted in evidence against the accused on trial in any criminal case. And then they go and throw in this paragraph B. It is an exception to the provisions of this article that the evidence was obtained by a order follower pig acting in objective good faith reliance upon a warrant issued by a neutral magistrate based on probable cause. Right. Well, first of all, there's no such thing as a neutral magistrate. They're all bought and paid for. And they're all clerks masquerading as judges, and so there's no such thing as a warrant either. Because bought and paid for clerks masquerading as judges cannot issue a warrant, okay? They cannot do anything judicial. That's all these Satanist order followers. Anyways, and then this is federal, okay? U.S. Code 2707, the good faith thing, okay? So these they want their pigs to be able to have good faith, to be able to assault you and get away with it. Okay, that's exactly what's going on. This is Congress now. Anyways, a defense of good faith reliance, a court warrant or order, a grand jury subpoena, a legislative authorization, or a statutory authorization, including a request of a governmental entity under Section 2703F of this title, a request of an investigative or law enforcement officer under Section 2518.7 of this title, or a good faith determination that Section 2511.3 of this title permitted the conduct complained of, is a complete defense to any civil or criminal action brought under this chapter or any other law. Okay, so, or any other law. Okay, so again, as long as these Satanist order follower pigs can operate in good faith, then they can get away with doing what they're doing. Okay, and that's why I serve them with my registered letters, and that's why they hate my guts so much, because they don't They want to be able to assault me and get away with it. They want to be able to kidnap me and get away with it. And now I got to hold them accountable. Now I'm holding them accountable, and they can't just get away with it. So they go and do all sorts of other crap. Okay? These people are Satanists. This is all coming from the Roman cult. Don't get me going. You're getting me going here. Don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Don't forget to follow me on bit.me. And my link to my bit.me channel is Sovereignty International. Anyways, don't forget to follow me on Steemit at Sovereignty International. Don't forget to like this video. Give me the thumbs up. On YouTube, don't forget to click the bell next to the subscribe button so you're notified when there's a new upload. On bit.me, don't forget to upvote this video. On Steemit, don't forget to vote and make your comments. And don't forget to subscribe on BitChute. Okay, I've got a new profile on BitChute. YouTube is basically eliminating. They're committing suicide. Is what YouTube is doing. Okay, YouTube and Google are committing suicide, and so I am looking for other places to put my videos. And the revenue on YouTube is going down to next to nothing. And so I'm looking to move away from YouTube, and so that's my objective. And if I find a better place, then I'll just completely move over there. Matter of fact, I'll even just delete my profile on YouTube. But meanwhile, I'll give you lots of warning. But so I'm on a bunch of different places: BitMe, Steemit, um, and BitChute, and Minds. I'm on Minds too. All of them are okay, but I haven't found any that are screaming good yet. I like vid.me. Vid.me is pretty good. Anyways, um, this is my front page of my channel on YouTube, and notice the arrow is pointing at the bell. You got to click on not only the subscribed, but you also got to click on the bell, and a pop-up will come up, and there's a box you have to check that you want to be notified, and click OK. This is Steemit. The left arrow is pointing at the upvotes. The middle arrow is the number of upvotes. So the left arrow is where you vote for it, give it an upvote. And then the right arrow is where you make comments. And so on Steemit, that's all important. And this is also on Steemit. This is one called Crypto Wallet. And this is, you notice the hand there, that's my mouse, where the arrow is pointing. And when you click on someone's ID or their on Steemit, then this little window will come down and where you can follow them. Okay, and so I would encourage you to follow me. Anyways, so the topic of this video is about common law IDs. Now, there's only two places that I know about that you can get a common law ID. There's a guy by the name of Catman, and he lives in South Texas, and Houston actually lives on a boat. Anyways, he does common law IDs. His email address is catman1@gmail.com. Really good guy. He's always he's I mean, me and him see eye to eye on everything, and he's right on the money. And so, but he makes common law ID. So if you want, you can get him to do it. The other place that I know about that makes common law IDs is NSEA.us, and they are still functioning fine. There's been times when some people have said their website doesn't work. Well, it's been working for me, and I've been in touch with them as recently. I talked to them here in the last few days, and so they are up and running, and they're having some victories. Okay, so again, the more people that do it, the more the victories. Okay, they've actually talked about where the judges have more or less just begged for forgiveness. Okay, made the case disappear. The judge asked them not to do anything about it. I'm telling you. So they got some really good material, and they bring up the right issues. And so anyways, we're going to talk about, this video is going to be about more about NSEA.us than anything. Okay, this is their front page of their website. They have changed their website. Okay, it's a lot different than it used to be, but that's one thing. The only thing you can count on is that it changes. This is their ID card that they use. and and that has changed as well. Okay, they've got they have made some changes for that as well. The important thing I want to point out here is that it does say American national, diplomat, private membership. Um, and we're going to go into the reasons for some of this because there are two national governments. The Supreme Court, in the case Downs versus Bidwell, said there are two national governments, and so the point being is that this ID is for the de jure government. Okay, American national. That's we the people. Okay, and there is no at common law. You don't need ID. Okay, but so these people have developed a procedure, and it works pretty good too. Um, anyways, um, this is the back of the card. If you notice, official national government ID. Okay, and so that says that down on the bottom right, below above the where it says private, do not detain, do not hold, official national government ID. Um, so they've had some successes. This is the one of the forms you have to fill out when you do this is you have to sign up for the grand jury, okay? Because that's what we the people do, okay? And so this is the form, and you notice how it's there's witnesses and other things here. And I want to point out, we'll get in closer, okay? And so um, it's an autograph. You print your name, okay? I'm an American national. I'm not a citizen of the United States. Um, and the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights states I have the right to self-determination. And and then it goes on. I add my name to the grand jury pool and NSEA International as a member. I'm available upon appointment if you wish to be as an investigator or researcher, and I'm available upon court appointment as an environmental marshal. I'm available upon appointment by the grand jury to serve as a general counsel. Um, and so, and then notice on the footnotes here, it says if you're a registered voter, you're not an American national, but you are a citizen of the United States and cannot execute this document and serve as an independent grand jury of the people until you have withdrawn your voter registration from the United States Corporation. A man cannot serve two masters. And then number two, it says ordained a ruler, judge over all creatures who walk on the land. And the footnote two is somewhere else. Let's see. Yeah, declarant and one of the people. Okay, that's up at the second line or third line from the top on the right hand side there, footnote two. And so ordained a ruler, judge over all creatures who walk on the land. Supplement to page number 9, footnote number 3. Is defined by the last two digits of your birth date. Okay, so they're talking about the number that's going to be at the bottom of this. And so the last two digits of your birth date, in other words, the year, and the initials of your name. And so that's what makes up this number. And if they get a duplicate, I'm not sure what they're going to do. I'm sure they have something figured out. But anyways, this is a NSEA International Entry Registration Certificate for your private conveyance. Okay, so they have all of that taken care of. And this is some information taken, some citations taken from documents that they provided. That they email me as part of this package of paperwork when you apply for the card. You can also get a tag for your car. And these are some court citations. This is actually taken from the Uniform Commercial Code, Article 9, Secured Transactions, Section 9-109, Classification of Goods, Consumer Goods, equipment, farm products, inventory goods are number 1, consumer goods, if they're used or bought for use primarily for personal, family, or household purposes. Equipment, if they're used or bought to be used primarily in business. And so that's important because your private conveyance is consumer goods. And we're going to talk about some court cases. Now we got some court cases that we're talking about here. Under UCC 9-109, there's a real distinction between goods purchased for personal use and those purchased for business use. The two are mutually exclusive, and the principal use to which the property is put should be considered as determinative. Okay, so however you're going to use it determines what the use is for. The classification of goods in UCC 9-109 are mutually exclusive. And then automobile purchase for the purpose of transporting buyer to and from his place of employment was consumer goods as defined in UCC 9-109. The provisions of UCC 2-316 of the Maryland UCC do not apply to the sales of consumer goods, a term which includes automobiles, whether new or used, that are bought primarily for personal, family, or household use. And so again, automobiles, if you're using it for travel to and from work, if you're not carrying passengers or property for hire, then you're using it for, then it's consumer goods. A vehicle not used for commercial activity is a consumer goods. It is not a type of vehicle required to be registered and use tax paid for which the tab is evidence of the receipt of the tax, okay? You're not required to register it or pay any taxes. Thus, self-driven vehicles are classified according to the use to which they are put rather than according to the means by which they are propelled. The Supreme Court in Arthur versus Morgan held that carriages were properly classified as household effects, and we see no reason that automobiles should not be similarly disposed of. And that's a federal court case, Second Circuit, 1907. A soldier's personal automobile is part of his household goods, and that's in words and phrases. So anyways, the exemptions provided for in Section 1 of the Motor Vehicle Transportation License Act of 1925 in favor of those who solely transport their own property or employees or both, and of those who transport no persons or property for hire or compensation by motor vehicle, have been determined in the Bacon Service Corporation case to be lawful exemptions. And that's a California case. So again, as long as you're not carrying passengers or property for hire, they have nothing to say to you. In view of this rule, a statutory provision that the supervising officials may exempt such persons when the transportation is not on a commercial basis means that they must exempt them. It's not negotiable. So part of when you apply for your ID, you have to revoke your voter registration. There's a form for that. It's pretty straightforward. You just have to find the name of your local voter registration the administrator. You complete the grand jury form. You take a digital picture on a white background. You complete the application form, the referral code. Okay, there's a referral code on there, and so if you're getting it off of this video, then you need to put GF in there, and you mail in proof of service of the voter registration revocation, the grand jury form, and the application form to the address provided with a postal money order. And I would keep a digital copy and then email a digital copy to this email address right here, along with the digital image. And then when they get everything, then they'll probably they usually contact you, send you an email with the ID that they put together, and you can review it and decide if that's the one, if you like the one they're going to do, or if you want any changes. So they give you an opportunity to review it. This is the form that you have to fill out. Matter of fact, it's pretty straightforward, and so it tells you how you want the card filled out and then where you want it sent, so that can be two separate addresses. You never put where you're going to get it sent will have an address, but where you're on the card, you will never have a zip code, I should say. Where you're going to get it sent will have a zip code in square brackets, but the address on the card, there will be no zip code. Anyways, and then if you notice on the bottom left, there's a postal address where you can send it to, and then on the bottom right is a referral code. They also have procedures to authenticate birth certificates. They also have procedures for vehicle registration and have their own plates. And if you have problems, this is actually taken from one of their documents that they sent me. If you have problems, contact us immediately. Info at NSEA.us. Put emergency in the subject line. We only appear in court by mail, and you must give enough notice to do just that. Some have gone in to see the clerk of the court a month before to settle and close the account. I have used GSA, blank GSA forms, and made 4 traffic tickets go away at once by telling the prosecuting attorney before the court on the day of the hearing to settle and close the account. They've done that 3 times. Never say you understand anything if they ask you, or use the word understand. If you don't know, understand means to stand under. Do you really want to stand under them? We have counsel available to contract with if you have a serious problem. Please check the website often for updates to download, like citations, etc. Happy traveling. Okay, so this is actually all of these documents that we have here, and there's other ones too that are on the Yahoo group in the files directory. And so you'll have to look around. It's a subdirectory of the files directory, but you'll find a directory there for NSEA.us. And it'll have all of these forms in it. And so you can go ahead and do that. Now, announcing a subscription-based YouTube channel called Sovereignty International. The recommended cost of the subscription is currently $1.99 because it avoids the advertising only. If you like my work, it can be a donation, and it's certainly appreciated. But the only power that these New World Order Satanists have over us is through fraud and deception, and my agenda is to expose it for all our benefit. I cannot fight all the battles. So that's another reason why I put this stuff out, because I need other people fighting the battles and bringing up the right issues. I'm currently publishing a video a week. I put a link to the YouTube channel at the bottom because some people had trouble finding it. Some of the exclusive content on there is Arlington private information share, land deed training, estoppel certificates training, foreclosure estoppel certificates training, corporate denial training, toll roads notice and demand training, invoice training, notice of void judgment training, revocation of signature training, and third-party witness training. Federal habeas corpus training, revocation of voter registration training, criminal complaint training, lawsuit training, and any other training actually upcoming is the lawsuit. And I've got 2 criminal complaint training videos now, but there'll be upcoming lawsuit training if anybody's interested, and then other training if anybody's interested in that. Now, the point is that everything that is needed to free yourself is available for free on my free YouTube channel called Sovereign Living. All forms, files, and other instructions are available for free on my 2 private groups at Yahoo Groups and Google Groups. YouTube has notified me that they will be terminating all paid subscription channels on the 1st of December. So if that goes through, if that happens, then this channel will be made private is what will happen, and I'll delete it. But the bottom line is that all of these exclusive content videos will be on vid.me, but you'll have to buy a subscription there. So I would recommend that you all move over to vid.me, because YouTube is committing suicide. Google is committing suicide. They're more interested in their New World Order crowd and censorship. And so there's all sorts of people that are getting their YouTube videos demonetized. They're basically shutting down. They went and shut down a JSNP 4 recently, although after I sent them a tweet on Twitter, I tell them JSNP 4 that he ought to sue their butt off. Then all of a sudden they put him back up. It's amazing how that works. I copied in YouTube CEO and those kinds of people that happen to have Twitter accounts. Anyways, so but they're committing suicide. So the bottom line is that if that's the way they want to be, then we need to let them commit suicide, and go and find another place to bring our information and our business. Anyways, this is the front page of my channel, and the top arrow is pointing at the link. The bottom arrow is pointing at the start free trial button. The reason that's like that because somebody actually sent me $1.99 and I didn't know if it was a donation or if it was a subscription wanting me to subscribe and do the channel. And my point is that I have absolutely no control over subscribers. If you want to subscribe, I can't even see all the subscribers. If you want to subscribe to the channel, you're going to have to do it. Click on the start free trial button. At this point, I would suggest maybe you might want to consider vid.me because I think YouTube is going to, although they may not because somebody might threaten to sue them, and I might do it, in fact. But this demonetization of the videos is what they're doing is they go and like they've demonetized 60 of my videos, over 60. And but they what they do is they take them down, and then you tell them to manually review it, and then all of a sudden they put them back up, and meanwhile they hit you for all of the revenue loss that went on because of that. And so they're going to get sued. I guarantee you they're going to get sued big time. And it might be me that does it. They need to get sued. Anyways, um, so yeah, that's what's going on with YouTube. Um, anyways, this is all coming from the Roman cult. Okay, my history of the Jesuits is not eloquently written, but it is supported by unquestionable authorities, and is very particular and very horrible. There, the Jesuit order's restoration in 1814 by Pope Pius VII is indeed a step towards darkness, cruelty, despotism, and death. I do not like the appearance of Jesuits. If ever there was a body of men who merited eternal damnation on earth and in hell, it is the Society of Ignatius de Loyola. And that is taken from John Adams, second president of the United States. A cite. And this is within 20 years, this country is going to rule the world. Kings and emperors will soon pass away, and the democracy of the United States will take their place. When the United States rules the world, the Catholic Church will rule the world. Nothing can stand against the church. I'd like to see the politician who would try to rule against the church in Chicago. And his reign would be short indeed. That's Roman Catholic Archbishop James E. Quigley in the Chicago Daily Tribune, May 5th, 1903. So these people are Satanists. Okay, that's exactly what they are. Two national governments exist, one to be maintained under the Constitution with all its restrictions, the other to be maintained by Congress outside and independently of that instrument. And that is the dissenting opinion of Justice Marshall Harlan in the case Downs versus Bidwell, a U.S. Supreme Court in 1901. Now, think about that for a minute, because he's saying that the government, the Congress, or the government of the United States that's maintained by Congress outside and independent of the Constitution. Well, think about it. He's saying it's unconstitutional. That's what he's saying. Exactly. It's unconstitutional. And so that's an important point. Okay. And so that's the issue that you have to bring up. Anyways, this is the Roman conquest that was evidenced in Congress on the 24th of September 2015. Now, this text is really hard to read, and so I have printed it on a subsequent page. So we'll go from the left around to the right. Okay, so we go the left, the top left. We'll go left around to the right. In the top left, it says Roman Achaea military staff carried in battle by all Roman commands, planted on all conquered nations. And if you notice, it's pointing at that staff there with the eagle on top of it. Okay, on the left there, next to the fascias, the left-hand fascia. And so then the second one says devout Roman Catholic honorary degree from Jesuit Scranton University. And whoops, wrong way. And the second one is pointing at Biden. Okay, so the second from the down, on the left hand side, the bottom one on the left is the arrows pointing at Joe Biden. Roman bundle of rods bound to a weapon symbolizing subservient under the rule of a single man. Okay, and so that's the fascists right there. The bottom one is it's a Roman fascia, and there's just pointing at both of them there. It's a bundle of rods symbolizing rule of under one man. And notice the Pope there is a Jesuit. Um, and then the last one is a devout Roman Catholic trained by Jesuits installed the first Jesuit chaplain to the house. How convenient, eh? Anyways, and that's pointing at Boner, who was Speaker of the House at the time. So Boner um, and Biden were there when I think it's Boner. I'm pretty sure it's Boner. It's not Paul Ryan, I don't think, but maybe it is. Anyways, and the Pope or the pimp? No, he's a Pope. No, he's a pimp. Anyways, was speaking. He's the guy in the white there. Anyways, so that's what that says, and that's the Roman cult is equal to murder and slavery. That's what they do. They murder people, they enslave people. That's all they do. Okay. Why do you think Donald Trump's first international trip included the Roman cult on the itinerary? Why do you think the Pope looks so angry in his pictures with Donald Trump? It's because Donald Trump wasn't going to go along with his program. And you think that that's not true? Well, keep listening. Anyways, my contact information, my blog is sovereigntyinternational.wordpress.com. My website is sovereigntyinternational.fyi. My email address is engineerwin@yahoo. My YouTube profile is Sovereign Living and Sovereignty International. My Facebook community page is deleted. My private group, Sovereignty International, is being deleted. My Yahoo private group is Administrating Your Public Servants, and my Google private group is Administrating Your Public Servants. Follow me on Twitter at Engineer Win. Follow me on bit.me at Sovereignty International. Follow me on Steemit at Sovereignty International and BitChute. My channel is Sovereignty International. Anyway, so then we have Adolfo Nicolas Pachon, who was 2008. This was an image taken in 2008. Notice the IHS, the 30th Superior General, the Society of Jesus, the Black Pope. January 2008 to the present. I think there's another one now. I think he's been removed. He was actually convicted by the International Common Law Court of rape, murder, a bunch of things. But anyways, he's the master and overseer of the white Pope, Benedict XVI. Okay, see, that was when the other Pope was in place. Satan's present ruler of the world. Go ye then into all the world and take possession of all lands in the name of the Pope. He who will not accept him as vicar of Christ and as vice regent on earth, let him be accursed and exterminated. Okay. There's a Dum Diversus. There's Dum Diversus is a papal bull in 52, I think, that where he went and um, authorized the enslavement of anybody that wasn't Catholic, basically, and that's where all the slaves came up, all the slave trade, and that's why all these black people wound up in America because of Dum Diversus. Why the Indians? The Indians talk about it, the First Nations people. And notice the statute has got someone under their foot, and that's the Roman cult. Okay, this is all coming from the Roman cult. This is part of a small part of the Jesuit oath. I further promise and declare that I will, when opportunity present, make and wage relentless wars, secretly or openly, against all heretics, Protestants, and liberals, as I am directed to do, to extirpate and exterminate them from the face of the whole earth, and that I will spare neither age, sex, or condition, and that I will hang, waste, boil, flay, strangle, and bury alive these infamous heretics, rip up the stomachs and wombs of their women, and crush their infants' heads against the walls, in order to annihilate forever their inexorable race. And then, when the same cannot be done openly, see, he's a coward, okay? Then when the same cannot be done openly, I will secretly use the poisoned cup, the strangulating cord, the steel of the poignard, or the leaden bullet, regardless of the honor, rank, dignity, or authority of the person or persons, whatever may be their condition in life, either public or private, as I may at any time be directed so to do by any agent of the Pope or superior of the Brotherhood of the Holy Faith of the Society of Jesus. Okay, These people are Satanists. They're cowards. They sneak around. They murder. They steal. They're just nothing but a bunch of Satanists. Okay, this is all Satanism, is what it is. Ever wonder why the world is so diabolically evil? Meet the man that plans it that way. The Black Pope, Adolfo Nicholas, okay, the most powerful man in the world and behind the plan for a new world order. The superior general of the Jesuits, the Black Pope, Adolfo Nicholas, and his 6 generals control the White Pope and the Vatican and the entire list below. The Illuminati, Zionists, globalist elites, the Council on Foreign Relations, the Bilderberger Group, the Freemasons, Council of 300, the United Nations, and the Council of Trent. The Jesuits control the Knights Templar, the Knights of Columbus, and the Knights of Malta. The CIA, FBI, NSA, ASIO, MI5, MI6, NCIS, FSB, DGSE, Mossad, and every intelligence agency in the world are Masonic and controlled by the Jesuits. The Jesuits have infiltrated most governments, and leaders, including Obama, make them puppets that carry out Jesuit orders. You know, I recently sent a registered letter to Donald Trump, and I pointed out I had the Jesuit oath in there, and I said, you know, I mean, and how many people, I asked their President Trump, I said, how many people do you think are working for you that are Catholic? And then I said, but you know, really that doesn't matter because there's a lot of Catholics that are really good people. I said, but how many of them went to the Jesuit Georgetown University? and 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 so anyways, food for thought, you know. Anyways, the Vatican's New World Order, Herman Van Rompuy, the president of the European Council, recently, we are all Jesuits. He was referring to those prominent European leaders with whom he is developing a Roman Catholic architecture for the future Europe. It creates unbreakable ties, so there is a Jesuits International. Okay, and notice the IHS, and they're sitting there laughing with the pimp. And then this is number 10 Downing Street, okay, where the Prime Minister of England lives. Wherever this seal is openly displayed, the Jesuit order is in control, okay? And this is where the Prime Minister of England lives, number 10 Downing Street. From 1203 to 1805, 50 million Christians died suffering at the hands of Rome because they believed in Christ alone. They died through Europe, especially Spain, for they saw all but Christ as vain. He who suffered by his death for men to save them from their awful sin, 600 years of martyred saints that history cannot erase. With iron heel and iron hand, the Roman popes rule the land. The Rothschilds have been part of the Jesuit order since way before 1776. The Maltese Cross indicates membership and allegiance to the Sovereign Military Order of Malta, a Masonic order created in 1099 AD by direct descendants of Roman emperors, of which the Jesuit order is a brand. Isn't it interesting that the Pope calls fake news a sin, yet the Catholic Church has been selling false saviors and implicated in child pedophilia for centuries? Check out my other videos, Bankster Thieves playlist, Roman cult playlist, bankrupt corporate so-called governments, bar members 1 through 3, do-it-yourself how not to volunteer for the selective service in the draft. Martial laws here, do-it-yourself no income tax, do-it-yourself free mail, do-it-yourself kangaroo courts 1 through 10 now. Canada Border Pigs playlist, bar members and their satanic connections playlist. And this is Malachi 3 and 5. And I will come near to you to judgment, and I will be a swift witness against the sorcerers, and against the adulterers, and against the false swearers, and against those that oppress the hireling and his wages, the widow and the fatherless, and that turn aside the stranger from his right. And fear not me, saith the Lord of hosts. And that's Malachi 3 and 5. And this is a book called, the front of the book called The Vatican's Holocaust, a sensational account of the most horrifying religious massacre of the 20th century. This is only one of many, okay, whether it's the 20th century over the last 1,000 years. They just one after the next. Anyways, by Avro Manhattan, Knight of Malta. Avro Manhattan, 1914 to 1990. Avro Manhattan was the world's foremost authority on Roman Catholicism and politics. A resident of London during World War II, he operated a radio station called Radio Freedom, broadcasting to occupied Europe. He was the author of over 20 books, including the bestseller The Vatican and World Politics, twice Book of the Month, and going through 57 editions. He was a Great Britain who risked his life daily to expose some of the darkest secrets of the papacy. His books were #1 on the Forbidden Index for the past 50 years. Editor's note, this issue from 1986. In 2006, the record is now 70 years on the Forbidden Book list. I guess that means it's 80 years now. Preface to the American edition. The Vatican's Holocaust is not a misnomer, an accusation, and even less a speculation. It is an historical fact. Rabid nationalism and religious dogmatism were his two main ingredients during the existence of Croatia as an independent Catholic state. Over 700,000 men, women, and children perished. Many were executed, tortured, died of starvation, buried alive, and even burned to death. Hundreds were forced to become Catholic. Catholic padres ran concentration camps. Catholic priests were officers of the military corps, which committed such atrocities. 700,000 in a total population of a few million proportionally would be as if 1/3 of the USA population had been exterminated by a Catholic militia. What has been gathered in this book will vindicate the veracity of these facts. Dates, names, places, as well as photos were there to prove them. They should become known to the American public, not to foster vindictiveness, but to warn them of the danger which racialism and sectarianism, when allied with religious intolerance, can bring to any contemporary nation, whether in Europe or in the New World. This work should be assessed without prejudice as a lesson, but even more vital, as a warning for the future of the Americans, beginning with that of the USA. And that's Averill, Manhattan, 1986. And then an editor's note, an armed Serbia could have easily prevented this Holocaust. Thank God for the Second Amendment to the Constitution, which guarantees the right to bear arms. Freedom of religion and an armed citizenry go hand in hand and is the only guarantee that this won't happen in the U.S. Editor's note, it is the Vatican's one world government that doesn't want you to have the right to own arms or use any means to defend yourself. And notice the UN, I got other videos that show how the UN is owned and operated by the Roman cult. And George Bush Sr. wanted to set up his New World Order, and this is all coming from the Roman cult. This is the read the middle paragraph. This was written in 1989, okay? And so this is the New World Order by A. Ralph Epperson. The New World Order will include changes in the family. Homosexual marriage will be legalized. Well, it has. Parents will not be allowed to raise their children. The state will. All women will be employed by the state and not allowed to be homemakers. Divorce will become exceedingly easy, and monogamous marriages will be slowly phased out. The workplace, the government will become the owner of all the factors of production. The private ownership of property will be outlawed. Religion will be outlawed, and believers will be either eliminated or imprisoned. There will be new religion, the worship of man and his mind. All will believe in the new religion. Now, it says the government will become the owner of all factors of production. Well, all corporations are owned by the government, okay? That's why it's called a corporation, okay? It's incorporated into the government, okay? They're just letting you manage it, okay? And that's why if the U.S. citizen, and all the employees are U.S. citizens, okay? Government employees. That's why they demand a social security number. But there are remedies, okay? There's ways of getting out of that. But you got to watch some of my other videos that talk about it. But there are ways of fighting that, okay? Anyways, this is a Jewish Encyclopedia, 1901 to 1906, Volume 2, page 497, states the Rothschilds are the guardians of the papal treasure. And if you look at the top, it says, meanwhile, the national reactionary parties of France desired to counterbalance the Semitic influence of the Rothschilds by establishing a banking concern which would be essentially Catholic. And it goes on down at the bottom. It is somewhat curious sequel to the attempt to set up a Catholic competitor to the Rothschilds, that at the present time, the latter are the guardians of the papal treasure. And so the Roman negotiable instrument law is Roman law. That's why they wanted a Federal Reserve Bank, because it's all negotiable instrument law, falls under Roman law, and the Roman cult owns it and controls it. That's really who owns it. The Rothschilds are the guardians of the papal treasure, and it's the Federal Reserve is just another Rothschild bank. Anyways, so I would encourage you to get a common law ID. You need to be able to not give evidence against yourself. The government, the other government issued IDs do for the unconstitutional corporation that's run by Congress. Okay, and so NSEA is probably the best. Catman is also a good guy, but I have an NSEA one and I use it and it works good. And so I would suggest that um, the NSEA is a government issued ID. It's from the de jure government, and they have established themselves as that, and they are successful or have been successful many times. I'm not sure if it's every time. They do have their battles to fight, and a lot of it depends on corruption by these Satanists. But anyway, so I'm getting a lot of positive feedback from about NSEA, and I haven't had any trouble at all by using my NSEA ID. Matter of fact, if I didn't travel out of Arizona, if I could stay exclusively in Arizona, I'd put the NSEA plate on my truck too. But and I might put it on there anyways. I'll have to think about it. Anyways, they pretty well leave me alone, so I don't know. At any rate, so thanks for watching. Get yourself an ID that's not one of their corporate government unconstitutional corporation government IDs, and you got to do it one way or the other. Otherwise, you're a slave. They'll just pull up the straw man and enslave you, and that's what it's all about. It's all about slavery. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. See ya.